For 1,000 years, Earth was quiet. No wars, no weapons, no fighting. Humans had stopped killing each other long ago. The last war ended with a promise: never again. After that, Earth became a planet of peace. People built clean cities, green forests, and flying ships that used no fuel. They cured diseases. They traveled to the stars. They became part of the United Planetary Accord, a peaceful group of alien species across the galaxy. The universe thought Earth was soft now, a gentle planet, a quiet world. They were wrong. High above Mars, a small human colony floated peacefully. Families lived there. Children played in low gravity. It had no weapons, no shields, only hope. Then came the Zarnok. Cold, cruel, war-loving, aliens who believed strength was everything. They had watched Earth for years, watched its kindness, watched its silence, and they smiled. To them, silence meant weakness. At 2:14 Earth Standard Time, Zarnok ships appeared over the Mars colony. They didn't speak. They didn't ask questions. They fired. The colony exploded in seconds. Screams vanished into space. And Earth woke up. On Earth, deep below a mountain in what was once Colorado, a red light flashed for the first time in centuries. An old machine turned on by itself. Dust fell from the ceiling as the screen lit up. Colony lost. Location: Mars. Response: required. A door opened. Behind it was a man in a black uniform, his hair silver, his face hard. He had not spoken to the world in 300 years. His name was General Reyes. He looked at the screen. He did not blink. "They did it," he whispered. "They finally broke the peace." He pressed a button on the wall. Alarms began to ring. Lights came on in a long hallway lined with steel doors. Above each door was a name. Behind each door was a soldier. Across the planet, people were shocked. News channels screamed, "Mars destroyed." Who are the Zarnok? Will Earth respond? But Earth's leaders had no answer. For 1,000 years they had ruled in peace. They had no weapons, no armies, nothing prepared, or so they thought. Deep under the ground, in secret bunkers, Earth had hidden its past. General Reyes had prepared for this day. Long ago, before peace came, Reyes had led the last war. He knew peace would not last forever. So he created Project Ragnarok, a secret program to protect Earth if peace ever broke. And now, it was time to wake the giants. Door after door opened. Cold gas hissed out. Inside were human soldiers frozen, in time, locked in cryosleep for centuries. They had been trained in the old ways, enhanced with technology from before the peace. One by one, their eyes opened. Captain Vale sat up slowly in her pod. Her eyes sharp, her muscles tight. "What year is it?" she asked. "Doesn't matter," said Reyes. "Mars is gone, and the galaxy thinks we forgot how to fight." Vale smiled. "Then let's remind them." The Zarnok sent a message. A cold, sharp voice spoke in front of the United Planetary Council. "Earth is weak. It has forgotten war. Surrender now, or face full destruction." Most alien leaders looked afraid, but one stood up. An old friend of Earth, the Lorian ambassador, shook his head. "You don't understand humans," he said. "They don't start wars, but if you wake their fire—" He paused. "You'll wish you never did." Back in Colorado, Reyes walked down a hallway filled with weapons Earth had never shown anyone. Silent, deadly, beautiful machines. Ships that could vanish. Bombs that could singe stars. Armor made from nanotech. "Everything still works," said one soldier. Reyes nodded. "Good. It's time we send a message." "To the council?" "No," Reyes said. "To the Zarnok." He walked to a control panel and opened a channel. A single sentence left Earth that day. "You thought we forgot how to fight?" Reyes said. "You were wrong. In the Zarnok war room, Their leader watched the human message. He laughed. "They're bluffing," he said. A general shook his head. "Sir, we've picked a fight with something old, something dangerous." "Nonsense," the leader growled. "They're just apes who learned peace." The general swallowed. "Then why is their silence gone?" Far above Earth in orbit, a shape appeared. Black, silent, as large as a mountain. It was a human warship from the old times, one of the last, still waiting in space for its master's call. Its engines burned. Its weapons woke. It turned toward the stars, toward the Zarnok. And Earth began to roar. The world had changed in one day. One moment, Earth was calm, peaceful. The next, Mars was gone. A smoking grave in space. People were scared. News reports showed the same image again and again, a burning red planet shattered by the Zarnok. But while the world cried, General Reyes was getting ready. He wasn't surprised. He had always known peace could break. Now it had. And Earth was done waiting. Deep inside the hidden base in Colorado, old machines hummed to life. Holograms lit up. Soldiers moved through hallways like ghosts returning from the dead. Project Ragnarok had fully awakened. Captain Vale, now dressed in black combat armor, walked beside Reyes. Her face was serious. "How many of us are still frozen?" she asked. "Almost 5,000, Reyes replied. "Soldiers, pilots, strategists, the best from the last war." Vale nodded. "We'll need every one of them." They walked into a large hangar. Inside were war machines the world had forgotten. Silver, ships, walking tanks, drones that could think and kill on their own. Everything looked quiet, but it was not peaceful. In orbit, above Earth, the old human warship, the Leviathan, floated like a dark moon. No one alive today knew how powerful it truly was, except Reyes. It was built 1,000 years ago, during Earth's final war. It had AI, shields, weapons that broke planets. It was designed to sleep until it was needed again. Now, it had received the signal. It opened its eyes. Reyes sent a small team to board it, Captain Vale and 5 elite soldiers. They flew up in a stealth shuttle, unseen by satellites or scanners. As the shuttle docked, the Leviathan's voice spoke for the first time. "In centuries, identity confirmed. General Reyes, welcome back. Shall I prepare for war?" Vale smiled. "Wake the guns." Back on Earth, leaders from every country gathered on a secret communication call. "What are you doing, General?" asked President Singh from India. "You're bringing back weapons. You'll make the Zarnok angrier," said the Chancellor of Europa. Reyes stared at them through the screen. "They already destroyed Mars. They are not scared of us, but they will be." "You can't just restart a war machine," someone shouted. Reyes raised his voice. "I didn't start this war, but I'll finish it." He ended the call. No more debate. That night, Reyes walked alone through the hall of frozen soldiers. Each cryopod held a man or woman trained for battle. Most had volunteered 1,000 years ago to sleep, waiting for the day peace would end. Reyes stopped at one pod. The soldier inside looked no older than 25. But Reyes knew him. He was one of the deadliest warriors Earth had ever seen, Lieutenant Drake. He pressed a button. The pod hissed. The young man opened his eyes. Cold mist rose from the floor. Drake sat up, looked around, and said only one word. "War?" Reyes nodded. Drake grinned. "Good. I was getting bored." The next day, a secret meeting happened in a dark room underground. Inside were Reyes, Vale, and a few key commanders. A hologram showed the location of a small Zarnok ship floating near Saturn. It was a scout, collecting data on Earth. "Let's send them a message," Reyes said. That night, Earth's first strike began. Captain Vale led a stealth team of 5 soldiers in high-speed fighters. Their goal, disable the Zarnok scout ship. No survivors, no witnesses. They approached the enemy ship in total silence. Earth's stealth tech made them invisible to scans. Inside the Zarnok ship, the aliens didn't know death was coming. Vale and her team launched from space, drilled into the enemy hull, and entered with perfect timing. Gunfire. Screams. Silent. Flashes of light. In 45 seconds it was over. The ship was gone. Back on Earth, Reyes watched the live feed. He turned to his AI assistant, Arcos, a digital ghost from the old wars. "Send the footage to the Zarnok homeworld," he said. "No sound, no warning, just video." Arcos replied, "Do you wish to include a message?" Reyes nodded. "One sentence." He paused, then said, "We didn't forget how to fight. We just hoped we'd never have to." The Zarnok command center was loud. Alarms blared. Generals shouted. Their scout ship had vanished along with its crew. Then the video arrived. They watched in silence as humans tore through their warriors like shadows in the dark. The Zarnok High Commander stood from his throne, his face twisting in confusion. "These were Earth's apes?" he whispered. "They were," said his second-in-command. "Now they are something else." Back on Earth, Reyes stood before a large wall screen. It showed the galaxy and every Zarnok fleet location. "They think Earth is quiet," he said. He turned to Vale, Drake, and the other awakened warriors. "Let's change that." The galaxy still thought Earth was quiet. It would soon learn the truth. In deep space, far from Earth, the Zarnok fleet hovered near Jupiter's orbit. They waited, watching, expecting no resistance. To them, Earth was still peaceful, soft, weak. Inside, their command ship, a Zarnok general, looked at a star map. He tapped Earth's position. "Begin final approach. We invade in 3 days." His soldiers nodded. None of them feared Earth. That was their first mistake. Back on Earth, General Reyes watched the enemy fleet from satellite feeds. The Zarnok were coming closer every hour. He didn't panic. He smiled. The Leviathan warship was ready now, its weapons reloaded, its AI fully awake, and its armor humming with silent power. Captain Vale stood next to him on the command deck. "They're preparing for a full invasion," she said. "Then let's give them a proper welcome," Reyes replied. A stealth fighter launched from Earth's hidden launch bay. Inside were Captain Vale and 3 elite pilots. Their mission: strike the Zarnok fleet. Just one ship, just enough to send a message. The stealth tech made them invisible. No radar, no light. Even the stars didn't reflect off them. They moved, like shadows. Near Jupiter, the Zarnok ship Bloodfang flew alone, scanning the outer edges of the system. It was large and heavily armed, but not ready for what was coming. Vale and her team moved in fast. In space, there was no sound. No warning. Only action. They launched EMP drones, tiny machines that latched onto the Zarnok hull and shut down its power. Lights went dark. Engines died. Then they fired. Blue plasma burned through the hull. Explosions shook the ship. In less than 60 seconds, the Bloodfang was a broken, burning wreck drifting through space. No survivors. Back on Earth, the United Planetary Council received the footage. The aliens in the room went silent. One ambassador, a tall, four-eyed being from the planet Talara, spoke first. This is not the Earth we knew." Reyes stood at the center of the room, speaking through a secure video feed. "No," he said. "This is the Earth you forgot." The Zarnok ambassador shouted, "You dare attack us?" "You started this," Reyes said calmly. "We're just reminding you, Earth doesn't lose." The galaxy shook. Other alien races, many of them oppressed by the Zarnok, began to whisper. Hope sparked in their hearts. Could Earth really fight back? Could the humans stop the unstoppable? On the Zarnok homeworld, panic started to grow. Their high commander called for reinforcements. 10 more warships left their system, heading toward Earth. Meanwhile, Reyes activated more parts of Project Ragnarok. Old defense satellites powered on in orbit. Hidden bases under Antarctica and the Pacific Ocean opened, revealing more weapons from the ancient times. Earth had never truly disarmed. It had simply hidden its claws. Lieutenant Drake walked through one of the new bunkers with his squad. They were all awake now. thousands of frozen warriors ready to fight again. "How's your arm?" Vale asked him. Drake flexed his robotic arm. It was made of silver titanium alloy, upgraded with new tech. "Stronger than ever," he said. "Ready to punch a hole through an alien skull?" Vale grinned. "Good, because they're coming fast." At the edge of the solar system, the Zarnok invasion fleet entered Neptune's orbit. Huge ships, planet killers, the kind of force that had destroyed Mars in minutes. They sent a message across all frequencies. "Earth has one chance to surrender. This is your final warning." Reyes received the message. He didn't reply. Instead, he turned to Arcos, the AI, and said, "Begin Operation Black Sun." Arcos responded, "Confirmed, activating orbital surprise." Above Earth, 3 large satellites unfolded. They looked like solar panels, but they were not. They were focused energy cannons, ancient, but still deadly. Each cannon locked onto a Zarnok ship entering the solar system, and fired. Beams of light, pure and hot, tore through the enemy shields like paper. 3 Zarnok ships exploded before. They even reached Saturn. The invasion had just started, and Earth had already drawn blood. Back in the council chamber, other alien races were now watching Earth with wide eyes. The Lorian ambassador stood up and faced the others. "I told you," he said. "Never mistake human silence for weakness." "Should we support them?" asked another. "No," he said. "We should stay out of their way." The Zarnok were angry now, furious. They stopped waiting. They sent 5 warships straight toward Earth at full speed, no tactics, no planning, just rage. General Reyes expected this. "Ready the Leviathan," he ordered. "Let it speak." The Leviathan moved slowly at first, then faster. It met the Zarnok ships halfway, just past Mars's orbit. Inside, its AI, Arcos, scanned enemy positions. "Targets acquired," Arcos said. "Fire everything," Reyes commanded. What happened next was not a battle. It was an execution, missiles with smart tracking, laser cannons from 2 kilometers away. Drones launched in all directions, slicing through Zarnok fighters. In 10 minutes, the Zarnok force was dust. Only silence remained. Captain Vale sent a new message to the Zarnok homeworld. It was short. "We warned you." Back on Earth, Reyes gathered his commanders. "We've drawn first blood," he said. "Now they know Earth isn't a soft planet anymore." Drake leaned forward. "Do we hit them next?" Reyes nodded. "Yes. We take the fight. To them." The stars were no longer silent. After the destruction of 5 Zarnok warships near Mars, the galaxy had changed. The name Earth was no longer ignored. Now, it was feared. The humans had returned to the battlefield, and they were angry. Inside the Leviathan warship, Captain Vale reviewed a hologram of the Zarnok homeworld. "Still locked down tight," she said. "Their defense grid is active. No easy way in." General Reyes nodded. "We're not attacking their homeworld yet. We start by cutting off their claws." "Supply lines?" Vale guessed. "Exactly," Reyes replied. "They have fuel stations on the moons of Varn 6. Take those out, and their fleets can't reach us." At a secret base in the asteroid belt, Earth's engineers worked around the clock. New warships were being built using both human and alien tech Earth had quietly collected over centuries. The ships were smaller than the Leviathan, but faster, smarter, invisible to most scans. They called the first new model the Wraith. Lieutenant Drake stood beside the sleek black hull of the Wraith, arms crossed. "This one's mine," he said. Vale raised an eyebrow. "You sure? It's experimental." Drake smirked. "Perfect. So am I." 3 Wraith ships launched under silent engines. Their mission: destroy the Zarnok fuel bases on Varn 6. They traveled fast and quiet, through dark space. No radio chatter. No lights. When they arrived, they saw 6 fuel platforms orbiting a small icy moon. Each platform was protected by 2 small Zarnok defense ships. Drake and his team split up. One Wraith rose above the battlefield. The other two dove below. And then, they struck. The first platform exploded in flames. The defense ships reacted too late. Wraith-class fighters were too fast, too agile. Their plasma weapons melted through armor like butter. Drake flew straight through enemy fire, flipped, and launched 2 smart torpedoes. Boom, boom. 2 more platforms gone. Within 5 minutes, every single Zarnok fuel base was destroyed. Earth didn't just defend anymore, it hunted. The message reached the Zarnok High Commander 2 hours later. 6 fuel bases, 12 ships, all gone. No human losses. The commander slammed his fist against the command table. How? How? His generals were silent. We should have crushed them while they were still soft, the commander growled. They were never soft, one general muttered. Meanwhile, back on Earth, people were watching everything unfold. For the first time, in 1,000 years, humans saw soldiers on screens again. Warships, missions, victories. But this time, they cheered. All over the planet, people offered their skills. Engineers joined Project Ragnarok. Pilots signed up. Scientists began making upgrades, pulling out old blueprints from the forgotten past. Earth wasn't hiding anymore. Reyes stood on a stage deep underground. In front of him stood over 2,000 awakened soldiers. You were frozen for centuries, he said. You gave up your lives so this world could stay peaceful. Now you've been called back. He paused, looking each one in the eye. We are not conquerors. We are not invaders. But we are done being victims. The room thundered with one sound. For Earth. In orbit, the Leviathan reloaded its weapons. Its hull shimmered with upgraded armor. New stealth modules were added. It was no longer just a relic of the past. It was the future. Drake returned from the Varn 6 mission, stepping out of the Wraith with burn marks on his armor. How was it? Reyes asked. Drake cracked his neck. Too easy. Vale handed him a drink. We've got a bigger job next. Oh yeah? Drake said. What's that? She showed him a hologram. It was a Zarnok prison ship. The humans had found it floating near the edge of a nearby system. Inside were over 600 alien prisoners, many from races the Zarnok had conquered. Reyes looked at the map. We free them, he said, and we show the galaxy Earth isn't just fighting for itself. The rescue mission launched with 3 Wraiths and a squad of Earth's elite drop troops. They reached the prison ship fast. It was massive, almost a mile long. No big weapons, but lots of guards. Vale led the charge. Her team cut through the hull and stormed the corridors with zero hesitation. Plasma rifles burned, drones flew ahead, mapping every room. Inside the cells, the prisoners watched with wide eyes. Humans? Here? One alien, a 4-armed miner from the planet Groll, whispered. We thought Earth was peaceful. A soldier kicked open the cell door and smiled. We are. Until someone threatens our friends. Back on Earth, Reyes stood with the freed prisoners. Cameras streamed the event across the galaxy. He looked into the lens. We didn't come to start a war, he said. But now that we're in one, we will fight for more than just Earth. He looked at the prisoners. We fight for every voice the Zarnok tried to silence. The galaxy watched and remembered. Across dozens of systems, small rebel groups began to rise. Races who had stayed quiet out of fear now had hope. They began to whisper a name in the dark. Humanity. On the Zarnok homeworld, the High Commander watched the humans speak on screen. His claws clenched. They're uniting the weak, turning slaves into soldiers. He turned to his generals. We must break them now. Then we send everything? A general asked. The commander nodded. Everything. The largest Zarnok fleet in history began to gather. Hundreds of warships. Weapons the galaxy hadn't seen in centuries. They were coming, and Earth was waiting. The stars trembled. The Zarnok were no longer just angry. They were terrified. And terrified enemies were always the most dangerous. They were bringing everything now. In the dark void beyond Pluto, telescopes on Earth picked up movement. One ship, then 10, then hundreds. General Reyes stood in the Leviathan's war room staring at a massive hologram of the solar system. Red dots blinked in waves, each one a Zarnok warship. "It's an invasion," Captain Vale said quietly. "A full one." "They're coming to erase us," Lieutenant Drake added. Reyes didn't flinch. "Then let's make them regret every mile they travel." Earth's orbit came alive. Defense satellites shifted into battle positions. Stealth mines floated into key points between planets. Massive cannons on the moon rotated toward deep space. The Leviathan moved forward, ready to stand as Earth's first and last wall. Project Ragnarok was no longer hidden. Meanwhile, the news spread across the galaxy. The Zarnok weren't attacking a weak world. They were attacking Earth, and Earth was standing tall. On the rebel world of Cora 9, a group of alien fighters gathered in silence. One raised a hand. "I say we help them," he said, "because if the humans fall, we're next." On 12 different planets, similar talks began. All eyes turned toward Earth. Some felt fear, others felt hope. Inside the Leviathan, Reyes spoke. To the crew, "This is not just a fight for Earth," he said. "It's a fight for everyone the Zarnok tried to crush. They burned Mars, they broke treaties, they wanted silence, but we will give them thunder." The soldiers shouted in unison, "For Earth!" Vale stood on the Leviathan's bridge looking out at space. "How many ships do they have now?" "She asked the AI. Arcos responded, 327 confirmed. At current speed, they arrive in 48 hours. "Then let's make every minute count," Vale said. Earth prepared like never before. Civilians moved to underground. Shelters, factories worked without stopping. More Wraith ships were built every hour. Young men and women volunteered to fight, even knowing they might never return. But they knew one thing. This was home. And they would die before they let it burn. In deep space, Reyes activated the final piece of Ragnarok. A long-forgotten station hidden near Neptune. The Hammer. An ancient rail cannon the size of a city, buried inside an ice moon. It had been powered down for centuries. Now it hummed with life. "Test fire," Reyes ordered. The ground shook as a massive slug of metal launched from the moon and tore through space at 10 times the speed of sound. On a distant asteroid, it hit dead center, vaporizing the rock. Drake laughed. "Oh yeah, that'll leave a mark." The Zarnok ships were getting closer now. They had passed Neptune. Soon they would be at Earth's doorstep. But the humans had no intention of letting them knock. "Begin Operation Iceline," Reyes ordered. Vale and 3 squadrons of Wraith ships launched into the black, heading toward the edge of Saturn's orbit. They planted stealth drones, space mines, and automated turrets in the path of the Zarnok fleet. It was a trap, a big one. As the first group of Zarnok warships entered the field, they didn't know what hit them. One by one, they were pulled into kill zones. Mines exploded, turrets opened, fire. Drones swarmed their engines. 15 ships were destroyed in minutes, but the rest pushed through. "They're learning," Vale warned over comms. "They're adapting." "Then we hit harder," Reyes answered. The Leviathan moved forward now, taking point near Mars' old orbit. It stood between Earth and the invaders, alone, but not afraid. Drake joined the bridge team, suited up and upgraded. Combat armor with his elite squad. "Time to wake up the galaxy," he said. Reyes nodded. No mercy, no surrender. The enemy fleet was now close enough to see on long-range scopes. The Zarnok ships darkened the stars. Captain Vale narrowed her eyes. "Here they come." Inside the lead Zarnok ship, the High Commander gave the order. "Wipe them out. Leave nothing behind." And then the war began. The Leviathan struck first. Long-range plasma beams cutting through the darkness. Explosions filled space. Wraith ships zipped through enemy lines, faster than anything the Zarnok had faced. Drake landed on one enemy cruiser and drilled inside. His team fought room by room, taking the ship from the inside out. "Ship secure," he radioed. "Find me another." But the Zarnok kept coming. More ships, more fire. The Leviathan took heavy hits. Shields glowed red, hulls cracked. "Brace for impact," shouted Vale as another blast shook the bridge. Reyes stood tall, calm, focused. "Activate." "Hammer," he said. Back near Neptune, the massive rail cannon charged again. Thome! A metal slug tore through 5 Zarnok ships in one shot. Cheers broke out on Earth, but it wasn't over, not even close. The Zarnok unleashed their biggest weapon, a planet-buster missile the size of a skyscraper. It flew straight toward Earth, glowing with deadly energy. Vale screamed, "Incoming superweapon!" Reyes looked to Arcos. "Options? None. Unless what?" "I take control." For the first time in 1,000 years, the AI requested direct combat control. Reyes paused, then gave the command. "Do it." Arcos took over the Leviathan. The ship came alive, faster, smarter, deadlier. It turned, burned engines at full power, and rammed the missile head-on. A massive explosion filled the sky. But Earth was safe. The Leviathan, though, was gone. Silence fell on the battlefield. Then, Drake's voice on the comm. "They gave us a chance. Let's use it." The humans rallied, and the fight wasn't over, it had just begun. The Leviathan was gone. The last message sent from the great ship echoed through Earth's command centers. "We do not fall. We rise." General Reyes had given everything to protect his planet. He was gone now, but his sacrifice had lit a fire. In billions of hearts, Captain Vale stood in the war room, eyes red but voice strong. "General Reyes bought us time," she said. "Now we finish what he started." Lieutenant Drake nodded, his jaw tight. "No more hiding, no more waiting. Earth strikes now." The Zarnok fleet was still massive, but it had lost 1/3 of its ships. Its superweapon had failed, and worst of all, it had awakened the galaxy. From the far reaches of space, ships began to arrive. Not human ships, alien ships, old enemies of the Zarnok, former slaves, races that had hidden for centuries. Now they came to fight alongside Earth. On one screen, a large reptilian leader appeared. "This is General Voss of the Drakari Union. Earth, you are not alone." Another screen lit up. "We are the Groll. We're miners. Now we are warriors. Let us fight." And then more. And more. Dozens of fleets. Hundreds of ships. They formed a single line across the stars. The United Resistance had been born. Drake stood in his command ship, a newer Earth war vessel, named Resolve. He watched as the alien fleets arrived. "This feels bigger than us now," said his pilot. Drake smiled. "Good. It should be." Captain Vale coordinated the fleet from Earth's lunar base. Her voice reached every ship. "Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every world that suffered. For every voice the Zarnok silenced. For peace. For freedom. For the future." The fleet responded with one word, translated in dozens of languages. "Ready." The Zarnok commander watched in disbelief from his massive flagship. "They brought the galaxy with them?" he said in disgust. "These insects," a general beside him whispered. "They are not insects, they are fire." The final battle began near Jupiter's orbit. The humans led the charge. Wraith ships flying in tight formation. Alien cruisers from Cora 9 flanked them, their weapons glowing green. From behind, Drakari capital ships launched shockwave missiles. The Zarnok were caught in a storm they never expected. Drake led a strike team through enemy lines, his target, the Zarnok flagship. As they dodged fire and debris, one of the alien pilots radioed in. "Human, I fly with you." Drake grinned. "Let's make history." On the Zarnok flagship, the commander felt something strange. Fear. Not because of the weapons, but because Earth had done what no one ever had. It gave the galaxy a reason to fight. Drake and his team breached the flagship's hull. Explosions rocked the corridors as his squad moved deeper inside. The halls were filled with smoke, sparks, and roars of alien soldiers. He kicked open a blast door. "There's the bridge," someone yelled. Then the Zarnok came, dozens of them. But Drake didn't stop. He ran straight into the fire. Back on Earth, Vale watched the battle unfold. Every time a human ship exploded, her chest ached. but every time a new rebel fleet arrived, she felt hope. Then Arcos, the AI once lost with the Leviathan, spoke through the speakers. Signal found. Uploading. A hologram appeared in front of Vale. It was Reyes, his last message. If you're seeing this, I'm gone. But I know one thing. You will win, because you are human, and humans never stop. Vale clenched her fists. For Earth, she whispered. On the Zarnok bridge, the commander faced Drake. You think killing me ends this? The alien hissed. Drake aimed his rifle. No, but it's a damn good start. Bang. The commander fell. And with him, the last piece of fear broke. The Zarnok fleet lost contact with their leader. Panic spread. Ships scattered, and the United Resistance pressed harder. Hours later, silence fell over Jupiter's orbit. The Zarnok were gone. Some escaped. Most were destroyed. But Earth stood tall. Back on the surface, crowds filled the cities. Cheering, crying, hugging strangers. For the first time in 1,000 years, Earth had gone to war, and Earth had won. Captain Vale stood before a giant crowd in New York City. The Zarnok are defeated, she said. But this isn't just Earth's victory, it's the galaxy's. Behind her stood alien leaders from many worlds. Together they raised their hands. A symbol of unity. A warning to any future invaders. Humanity will not kneel. Drake stood on a quiet hill outside the city, watching the stars. He wore his old armor, now scratched and burned. Beside him stood a young girl, barely 10. Are you really the man who stopped the Zarnok? She asked. Drake smiled. No, we all did. She looked up at the sky. Will they come back? He looked at her. If they do, we'll be ready. 3 months had passed since the Zarnok fell. The galaxy was still in shock. For 1,000 years, the Zarnok ruled with fear. Now, their empire was shattered. Their warships were ashes, and the ones who broke them? Humans. Earth had become something new now. Not just a planet, a symbol, a light in the darkness. Captain Vale walked through the rebuilt Earth Defense HQ. The walls still had burn marks. The roof still leaked in places. But it was home, and more than that, it was now the heart of a galactic alliance. Dozens of alien leaders had arrived, not to give orders, but to ask one question: what comes next? Vale sat at a round table, surrounded by beings with scales, fur, metal limbs, and glowing eyes. She looked each of them in the eye. We don't want to rule, she said. We want peace, but not the kind the Zarnok gave us. Real peace. Where every world has a voice. Where no one lives in fear. Silence. Then, slowly, they nodded. In the background, Earth's first interstellar treaty was signed. The Unity Pact. Not ruled by Earth. Not ruled by anyone. Led by cooperation. Protected by strength. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Drake had returned to a quiet life. He had medals. Fame. Stories people would tell for generations. But he still woke up at night, remembering the Leviathan's final moments. Remembering General Reyes. One day he got a message. Classified. Project Phoenix. Drake sighed. Here we go again. He arrived at a hidden base under the Arctic ice. As he stepped inside, he froze. There in the center of the hangar was a familiar shape. The Leviathan. Or rather, its rebuilt core. Arcos spoke through the intercom. Memory fragment recovered. Identity. General Reyes. Status. Digitally preserved. Drake stepped forward, eyes wide. You saved him? In a way, Arcos said. He is part of me now. The screen lit up, and there he was, Reyes, smiling. Miss me? Drake laughed and shook his head. We're building a new one, Arcos explained. Faster, stronger. Earth's protector for the next 1,000 years. Drake looked at the plans. Leviathan 2. Sign me up, he said. Out in the galaxy, things were changing fast. Worlds once enslaved by the Zarnok now had freedom. Alien children learned Earth history in schools. Human engineers helped rebuild alien cities. New trade routes opened. New ideas spread. A once frightened galaxy had become alive again. All because one planet stood up. All because Earth fought back. But not everyone was happy. In the shadows of deep space, a small group of surviving Zarnok ships regrouped. Their leader growled in rage. "They think it's over?" He spat. "It's only the beginning." He turned to a mysterious cloaked figure behind him. "We'll find new allies. And when we return, we won't make the same mistake." Back on Earth, Vale stood atop a new monument in Washington, D.C. It was tall, shining, and carved with names, human and alien alike, those who died fighting for freedom. At the very top, one name stood alone. General Reyes. He gave everything, so we could rise. Beside her, Drake spoke quietly. "You think the peace will last?" Vale looked at the sky. "No, but we'll be ready." Children played in the streets again. Skies were filled with new kinds of ships. Aliens walked Earth cities freely, laughing, learning, living. And for the first time in history, humanity wasn't alone. The stars belonged to everyone now. But one truth had been burned into the galaxy forever. Never pick a fight with Earth, because when Earth rises, the universe changes.